Welcome back to Outnumbered. Police broadening their search for 3 men suspected in the killing of a police officer in Fox Lake, Illinois. The 30-year veteran of the force shot Tuesday morning while going after the men he'd spotted on his way to work. He told dispatchers they ran into a swampy area. Backup officers found him with a gunshot wound. He died shortly after. Mike Tobin following this story for us. He joins us live from Fox Lake. Mike.
Well, Sandra, a simple tall tale draws a big response and resources from the search and results in jail time. Last night, police say a woman made up a story that 2 fugitives tried to get in her car. So 100 police officers, helicopters, and dogs poured into the area. They searched that area for hours. Finally, according to the prosecutor, when police went to swab the door handle for DNA, Kristen Kiefer realized she was going to get caught, and she fessed up. She's now looking at a couple of charges. One is a Class 4 felony. She's also being held on a $100,000 bond.
We want the public to continue to send in every lead, every possible piece of information, no matter how small it might be. We want them to continue to send that information to the police. But any knowing false information that either obstructs or in any way hinders this investigation is going to be taken very seriously.
Now, the nature of the search has changed. Instead of sweeping fields, local police and federal agents are following tips door to door. They show up in body armor with weapons at the ready. The head of the task force says they are looking for cop killers, so they need to treat each situation, each encounter, as if it's a potentially deadly situation. Sandra, back to you.
All right, Mike, thank you. Well, one presidential candidate for 2016 is speaking out about the police violence and anti-cop sentiment across the country right now. Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker writing in an op-ed, "In the last 6 years under President Obama, we've seen a rise in anti-police rhetoric. Instead of hope and change, we've seen racial tensions worsen and a tendency to use law enforcement as a scapegoat." Meantime, Arby's apologizing after denying service to a uniformed police officer. She'd placed an order at the drive-thru while behind the wheel of a marked police car and was refused. Police saying she was even told it was because she was a police officer.
People to be treated like this, officers to be treated like this, it's inexcusable. We demand an apology. We're outraged.
Arby's called the police chief to apologize and said in a statement, quote, "We take this isolated matter very seriously as we respect and support police officers in our local communities." Okay, so Jesse, Arby's has apologized, but isn't this an example of the anti-police rhetoric that we are seeing in growing numbers across the country right now?
It is. The Arby's probably did this officer a favor. It's not the finest cuisine at Arby's. I don't understand Arby's situation. So if some guy sticks up Arby's, they're going to call the police and they're going to have to save them. Yep. But they can't have a meal afterwards. It's crazy. And there is a war on cops in this country. It's funny that the liberals care more when a lion is killed as opposed to a cop. 3 cops shot dead in just 1 week. I haven't heard anything publicly from the president. Haven't heard anything publicly from Hillary Clinton. Maybe I missed it. Imagine if Freddie Gray and Mike Brown and Trayvon were all killed within 1 week. I mean, you wouldn't hear the end of it. I think Democrats have created a monster in this Black Lives Matter situation. They're never going to criticize it because, they need the Democrat votes. But I think everybody needs to remember that we all bleed the same color and, enough with this crazy stuff.
We have heard it described, Julie, as a war on cops from many people, including some top politicians in the country. It appears that is what we're looking at. There's no 2 ways to look at it. Is there anything that can be done at this point to change this? I mean, it's been building for a long period of time.
It has been, and, everybody should tone down the rhetoric on both sides. I don't think politicizing this, as Scott Walker did, was helpful. I don't think politicizing it on the Democratic side is helpful when people just go around, or on the liberal side, go around trashing police officers.
Politicizing it by condemning it?
No, he didn't politicize by condemning it. He said over the last 6 years, somehow blamed it on Barack Obama. There are cop killings going on. That's unconscionable. Come on, there are cop killings.
Actually, if you chart the rise in violence, which I know Andrea looks at these numbers all the time, that really is the time period in which we've seen the spike in violence.
There are cop killings going on because people are killing cops. And they're bad apples who are killing cops. The same way there are people killing African Americans, police officers, and they're bad apples as well.
Okay, well,
let's go around.
Wait a second. When a cop does something to a black kid, all of a sudden one bad apple cop President Obama indicts the entire police force of the country, but
doesn't.
Black guys are out there killing white police officers.
When did he ever indict an entire?
And it's just a few bad apples.
Wait a second. When did he ever indict an entire police force of the entire country? I've never heard him say
Hands
that.
up, don't shoot.
Ever.
Hands up, don't shoot.
Barack Obama.
That was based on a lie. Obama took the side against police.
Wait a second. Barack Obama said that all American police officers are responsible for what happened to Ferguson?
He gave four major speeches after these incidents condemning police departments, saying that there's a racist.
Hold on, let me get in here. At Ferguson, he remarked and wagged his fingers at the police officers, wagged them at the same time he was talking to the protesters. He lectured them on not using excessive force. And by the way, actions speak louder than words. Look where he's asked his Department of Justice to butt in and stick their nose. He had a beer summit. He flies to certain areas for certain funerals and not others. Julie, he has inflamed this rhetoric. The progressive movement cares about black lives, just not in democratic cities.
Guess what's going to happen?
And by the way, those democratic cities are where the murder rates are rising. Crime is up, and it has been up under President Obama, and in blue cities where Democrats are in control.
Cops being recruited. People are not going into this profession anymore because they're scared of this. So what's going to happen when all of this violence continues to escalate and there aren't enough cops to fight all this crime? You can look at the numbers. In Philadelphia in 2008, 357 officers were recruited. In 2014, it was almost half of that. 190 were recruited. People don't want to be in this profession because they're scared for their safety. It's low pay and tough application requirements.
And why can't we all just say that what's going on is reprehensible on both sides? Why can't we say that killing cops is reprehensible? Why can't we say that racially based murder is also reprehensible?
Julie, you tell me. Martin O'Malley. Hold on. Martin
there's
O'Malley.
no racially based murder in this
From the
country?
police officers?
There's
Martin O'Malley.
Police officers?
Martin
You don't think
O'Malley.
what happened with Freddie Gray was racially based?
Let's let the courts decide.
Well, okay, great. Let's let the courts
Hold
decide.
on, Julie, just riddle me this. Martin O'Malley, a Democrat, tried to say that all lives matter, and he was booed and he was shouted down by progressives and forced to apologize. The problem is on your side,
The problem is on both sides.
By the way, I just wanted to point out that you're talking about the Philadelphia Police Department and the commissioner speaking out about how difficult it is to recruit police officers in this environment. They said that the police department there in Philadelphia is now about 200 officers short. So it's happening. People say it's going to happen. It's happening already. All right. Well, Joe Biden touring the country and looking more and more interested in taking the presidential plunge. So as the problems pile up for Hillary Clinton, will Biden throw his hat in the ring? Plus, the Republican Party asking its presidential candidates to take out a pen and sign a loyalty pledge. Is this a good idea, or does it sound like something out of the Soviet Union?